Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Last week I had a student ask me a particular question, and their question was they needed to show how can you find that the area of an equilateral triangle with sides x has the area square it 3 times x squared all divided by 4 units to the power of 2. I thought this was an interesting question and I said, hey, why not do this in my spare time and make a video? So let's get started. Here on the right we have a equilateral triangle, and we know that it has equal side lengths of x. In order to find the area of a triangle, we need two things, because the area of a triangle is equal to base times the height divided by 2. So when we look at this triangle, it's easy to see the base is equal to x. That's our base. However, it doesn't become clear what the height is. And in order to find the height of a triangle, we need to go from its apex or its top corner, and it needs to draw an imaginary line straight down which is perpendicular to the base, which means it comes at a 90-degree angle with the base. It's perpendicular. So we don't know this value, and I think that's a really good way to start by looking to find the height of this triangle. Call this h. When we draw this line, it bisects the triangle into two triangles. So let's hone in on one of the triangles. You should notice that it forms a right triangle. So here's our height. Our base, well, since this is halfway across and we know the base is x, we know this is going to be x over 2. This is also x over 2. Our base is going to be x over 2. And we know this side length is x. Okay, so here's h, side 1, this side here, side 2, and this one, side 3. So you can see the connection between the larger triangle and our smaller triangle. And we should include the right angle. Okay, at this point, we need to think about how do we find the height of the triangle. A really good way to find the height of the triangle is by using trigonometry. Or even if we focus in on using Pythagorean theorem. And Pythagorean theorem is a formula that talks about the relationship between the three sides of a right triangle. So for a right triangle with sides maybe A, B, and C, the right angle here, we know that side C squared is equal to side A squared plus side B squared. We're going to apply this to our triangle. When we correlate these sides, we know that our h can be here, really h. So I'm going to substitute h in A. Our side B is really x over 2. We're adding x over 2 to the power of 2. And side C we call x. So we have x squared is equal to. And at this point we need to solve and isolate or solve for at h. Let's color proper colors. We need to isolate h, get h by itself. X squared is just x squared. H squared is just h squared. And when we have a fraction inside, it means we need to raise each value to the power of 2. This here is actually equal to x to the power of 2 divided by 2 to the power of 2. These are equivalent. And when we simplify this, we'll have x squared over 4. And we can eliminate the bracket. Now I want h on one side. H remains here. We're going to keep h. However, what we need to do is we need to subtract x squared over 4 from this side, which means we need to do it to the other side. We're going to subtract x squared divided by 4. When we do this, the left side of the equation will look like this. X squared minus x squared divided by 4. That is going to be equal to h to the power of 2. X squared minus x squared to the power of, divided by 4. In order to subtract fractions, we need to make them the same denominator. So this is the same as 4x squared over 4. When we subtract, we end up getting 4x squared minus 1x squared. That's 3x squared divided by 4. And that's going to be equal to h squared. And the opposite of taking to the power of 2 is taking the square root of something. So when we take the square root of 3x over 4, we will find that is equal to h. And to simplify that, we could say we have, this is the same as writing square root of 3 times the square root of x squared divided by the square root of 4. Square root of 3 cannot be simplified. Square root of x squared is just x. And the square root of 4 is 2. That is the height of the triangle. So we can say that our h value is going to be equal to square root 3 times x divided by 2. So now that we know the height of this triangle, we can determine its area. Remember, we're going to jump up here. The area of a triangle is equal to the base times the height, all divided by 2. So when we do the area of this triangle, we have the base. Remember, the original area of the base, this big triangle, is x. X times the height of the triangle, which was the value we found, which is square root 3 times x divided by 2. And when that is done, we need to divide our answer by 2. When we multiply the top, the numerator, well, we have 1x here, and this is square root 3 times x. We know that x times x, x squared. There, we will write that. So we'll leave square root 3 as it is. Square root 3 times x squared divided by 2. And we know that this entire expression needs to be divided by 2. This is another way of writing the above statement. Remember, when we divide fractions, for example, when we say 4 divided by 2, this can be also rewritten as 4 over 1 divided by 2 over 1. When we divide fractions, a quick trick we can use is keep the first fraction the same, change this to multiply, and flip the second fraction. Because we know that when we divide by 2, it's the same as multiplying by 1 over 2. And we know that this will be 4 times 1 and 1 times 2. And that'll give us 4 over 2, which is 2. And we started here, 4 divided by 2, well, that's 2. So let's use that same principle here. When we divide by 2, we're going to keep the first fraction the same. This is really, 2 is really written as 2 over 1. When we write 2 over 1, we are going to flip the second fraction and multiply. Times this, multiply by, we flip this one, 1 over 2. When we multiply the top, the numerators, well, we are multiplying by 1. So then the original numerator stays the same. And 2 times 2 down here. 2 times 2, well, that's 4. And we have found the area of this equilateral triangle. And our question at the start was, we need to show that this is true for 3 times x squared divided by 4. And this is our final answer, units squared. There you have it. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, don't forget to like this video, and if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for tuning in today. Have a great afternoon. I'll see you later.